My package will be delivered to your next week. Make sure you receive them. I'm moving in with you to educate decent wife to my son. Make sure I get my own room, okay?
That's what my mother-in-law said when she called me out of the blue. Move in? Educate me? What the hell was she talking about? My husband had not mentioned anything to my mother-in-law. And what's the big deal about education? Who the hell does she think she is? And the next week, she really moved in. But when she saw her son in the house, she screamed, and there she would find out the time. About whom do we need to educate, and that the house where she lives nowhere to be found. My name is Krista. I have been married for years. I met my husband Eddie through a friend. We hit it off. After 3 years of dating, we are both working, but each of us alone before. So both of us are capable of doing range of household chores. Therefore, after we got married, we decided to divide the household chores among whoever had more time taking the lead. This seems to have worked well for us. We have never had a problem. But recently, as my work has become my husband's share has increased I felt a little bad about that, even though it was a rule we had decided upon together. So I bought a cake for him on my way from work, or by eating out on weekends and having a nice meal. I feel like I'm bribing, but my heart always kind of me and says,
I'm happier this way, don't worry.
I always thought I had married a real husband. I hope those happy days will continue to rest of my life. Just as I was living my life like that, my father-in-law passed away. It was sad, but my husband accepted it as inevitable to some extent. For my mother-in-law, who had been for many years, it's not that easy. It's very hard for her to be alone with the loneliness of losing her husband so suddenly. She began to visit us frequently. On weekdays, she comes after my husband finishes his work. And on weekends, sometimes comes in the morning. To be honest, it's tough for us to visit you in the morning on our days off because we are tired from work, but I can't neglect my grieving moth either. So I decided to stay by her side until her wounds healed and she could recover. As I continued this lifestyle, I realized something. The reason for my mother-in-law's visit has somehow changed. In the beginning, we would just have chit-chat. It was about the world news and or how well I was getting along with husband. I didn't mention my father-in-law because I wasn't sure whether it was appropriate to bring him up or not. When the conversation turned to my father-in-law, she would sometimes shed a tear or two at the memory of him. I quietly stood by her through those, but lately she's been talking more about me and my housework. Giving me advice is one thing, but warnings. The refrigerator is not organized. Laundry is not being done properly. Too many frozen foods or prepared. I have often heard such comments. It's true that we share the house, so we can't do anything too elaborate with our meals. Perhaps it's because my husband and both a bit on the clumsy side, but really paid much attention to such. Even though we don't have kids yet, we still think about it. I understand what my mother-in-law is saying. If only she would overcome her loneliness, she would visit us more often. Then I could take care of the household chores better. I didn't dare to tell her that.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I just nodded my head and said that. One day on a holiday, my mother came to my house as usual. And when she saw my husband washing dishes, she suddenly shouted at me,
Eddie, why are you doing the dishes? Stop it. Krista, you should be the one. You're the wife.
I froze in my tracks. But my mother-in-law doesn't care at all. She took the dishes from her husband's hands, sat him down on the sofa, and then stood up herself. I was a little irritated because I had to stand in front of the kitchen. but I try to speak as calmly as I can.
Hey, we both work, you know that, That's why we share the household. Today, Eddie happens to be the one dishes. So I don't leave everything to him. So, you know.
Don't talk back to me.
I tried to explain, but my mother-in-law wouldn't listen. She won't even try to understand. If my husband could at least explain her, maybe she'd be a little less of an ass. I looked at my husband with such hope. He nodded as if he understood. I felt a little relieved that every would be all right, but my relief was short-lived. Then came the unexpected words from my husband's mouth.
Hey, Mom, I'm sorry you're so upset, but I think you have a point. I'll make sure Krista gets it right on. Krista, you should apologize to Mom.
He looked at me. What? What the hell is going on here? Why don't you just tell her that we are sharing the chores? I wanted to say so, but I felt there was no point in arguing with my mother.
Well, I-11 be careful from now on.
I apologized to my mother-in-law and let it rest. After my mother-in-law left, I confessed to my husband.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Why am I the bad guy here? If you want that, there is no way she would understand. You could have told her directly, and she would have understood. Why did you say something like that?
Sensing my anger, my husband said.
That's not what I meant.
He started to make excuses.
I was just trying to smooth things. I'm sure Mom wouldn't understand if her about we share the chores. You know, she's not a modern type. You know, I'm on your side that I would agree with her on this matter. She'll understand someday, you know.
That's what my husband said. We've known each other long enough. That's not how he really feels. In fact, I think he was hoping that he wouldn't have to do the housework at all. My husband was always a little cunning. However, he has never been a person been rude to me or annoyed others. That's why I was so angry at him for showing remorse. But I was tired, so I kept quiet and day passed. Well, we had shared the chores up to that point, all right? I had such faint hope that things back to normal tomorrow. But since that day, my husband has been blatantly skipping chores. He doesn't do the housework like I thought he was sulking because I confronted him about his mother, but I don't think that's the case. So I decided to give him a warning. But my husband responded with a simple answer.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Well, sometimes you just don't feel doing it. The next day, my mother-in-law came without any notice. She had at least contacted me before today. She didn't. What was going on? Was she in some trouble? I was a little worried. What my mother-in-law told me was entirely different.
I see you still haven't done your chores. Don't you want your husband to eat you? I just got a call from my son. Krista doesn't cook. I haven't had a home-cooked meal in a while. See? Eddie texted me.
I couldn't help but glare at my husband. Did this guy just tip off his mother-in-law by backing into a tree? No, I did not do anything wrong in that place. It was a calculated attempt to make him look bad, simply because he hadn't done his chores. His plan worked, so his mother-in-law visited more frequently. My husband stopped doing chores. I had to come home from work and do the chores that my husband was supposed to do, who comes home earlier than I do. If I wasn't so busy at work, I could do the housework with ease. But my work has not yet left the bus, so I have to cut back on my sleep and work and housework every day. Physically, I was reaching my limit. I thought I would collapse if I didn't do something. So I decided to talk to someone about my mother-in-law again. However, at an inopportune time, I became busy with his work a little. I couldn't find the time to talk to my husband properly anymore. I thought that with both of us work couldn't be helped. But my husband's work schedule was unusual. It became normal for him to come home midnight on weekdays. Even on his days off, he sometimes stayed long. In the worst cases, he would stay, at the office because he thought it waste of time to come home. Just the other day, I was thinking one with my husband about chores. Now I'm starting to worry that he's too much. So whenever I could see him in the wood, ask him,
Are you okay?
Yeah, why? I feel fine.
he replies with a tireless face. It's good to know he's fine, but isn't he too energetic? If my husband is really working, he should be able to show a little on his face. I wonder if he had so much energy to. If the company is forcing your husband to work that hard, wouldn't they be violating labor standards law? With this in mind, I decided to call colleague Anne. Anne has a family member who works same company as my husband. But when I told Anne about it, she gave me a suspicious look.
It's certainly a busy season, right? Don't think they work that hard. It may vary from department to department. It's not like it used to be, you know.
So my husband's hard work is a comp. Well, at least we know something to up. Oh, yes. My husband doesn't come home from what. I've been so busy with work that I haven't been able to keep up with the housework. The house was a wretched mess. Tomorrow is my first day off in a long time. I could clean up this mess if I devoted my time to it. I had planned it like that, but my mother-in-law came at the wrong time.
What's with this room? I can't believe that the moment I started doing the housework, the house looked like this. No.
I was about to say that when I thought of something, that's right. There was no point in arguing with my mother-in-law. As I was brooding over this, my mother made a face as if she had just thought of something.
I just remembered what I have to do. I'm going home for the day.
With that, she headed for the front. I was expecting her to be angrier, but she seemed to be thinking, but if she was going to leave, there was nothing I could do about it. But a few days later, my mother told me something even more frightening.
Hello? My package will be delivered house next week. Make sure you receive them. If I see that messy room, I had to something. I'm going to teach you how to be a decent human being. You should be grateful that I'm moving with you. Make sure I get my own room, okay?
I answered the phone when my mother called, and she said those selfish. She didn't even discuss the move with me. She just called to let me know that it was on its way. I really wish she would just stop taking advantage of me like this. If you are to do this, I have a plan. I decided to carry out a plan I'd have for a long time. The day her stuff arrives and my mother-in-law moves in, I got a call on my cell phone from my mother-in-law. I ignored it because I couldn't be to answer it. The calls kept coming in over and over again, endlessly. I had no choice but to answer it and heard my mother-in-law's crazy voice on the other end of the line.
What the hell is going on here? Where are you? And who the hell is this woman with?
I couldn't help but laugh as I had heard my mother-in-law's restless voice on the other end of the line.
What? So funny?
I had to laugh. I didn't expect the plan to go so six. The truth is, I wasn't home that day. I told my husband I was going away for 3 days. I knew that he would bring his lover house with him. When there was a discrepancy between husband's busy schedule and the information received from a colleague, I requested a background check from a credit agency E. On weekdays, he used the company car, his lover's house. On weekends, they were together in far away from home. To top it all off, he was even getting overtime for the time he spent cheating on her. So I bet a man like that would call when he heard his wife was going wild to show my mother-in-law the shameful scene of her son. This was my plan. The phone still connected me to my mother-in-law. I told my mother-in-law all about it. She was speechless. I can only hear her gasping for breath. I would have loved to see the expression on her face. 3-day trip was also a fake. I was visiting the real estate office to sign a contract for a new house and canceled the lease on my current house. I was in the middle of it when I got a call from my mother-in-law, so I've been the realtor waiting.
I'm busy with the cancellation of my... So I'll just say what I want to say. You made fun of me and said I need educated. Do you know who needs to be educated? You also said that a woman should do the housework. But who do you think pays the rent? Your son did the housework because busier than him and made more money. But he is very busy having fun with women right now, isn't he? Whatever. As for divorce and alimony, I will you through my lawyer later. Don't get involved with me again.
As I was about to hang up the phone, my mother-in-law was crying and begging me.
No, I just canceled the lease on my house. Where will I live when this house is?
You've been happily blaming me all. Now you turn to me when things go well.
It's none of my business. Talk to your idiot son.
I hang up the phone. After a while, my husband and I divorced. I was able to get alimony from him person he cheated on me with. There are good lawyers in this world. Also, my ex-husband was fired from his job, along with the cheating partner, as of course. I heard, through the lawyer, that he had married her soon after. I would like to see two idiots together and live a life of miserly. I thought that would be a little too much wish for. Instead, the lawyer told me an inter-story. There's still one mystery left in. One reason why he might have been so excited about the affair could be the adrenaline rush from the illicit nature of it. But the biggest factor of all was that I was using a lot of over-the-counter drugs. It was ridiculously simple. But as it turned out, my ex-husband developed some internal organ problems as a side effect of the drugs. He was no longer able to work as he had used to. I guess you can't overdose on anything. I don't know how, where, or if I am still alive, but that's not my problem anymore. I'm enjoying my new life of freedom. Thank you for watching till the end. Please subscribe to our channel if... See you in the next video.